few of you kind of like poetry and come to find out, and we'll try to make a point to do some live stuff like at least once a month around like the third week of the month or thereabouts. So if that's your thing, stay tuned about that. Uh, for now, I wanted to address a question that a few people have been asking, and the question is why? Specifically, why do we have war? And the way it seems to be coming across to me is that they're going, why? Why do we have war? Why can't we just have peace? Something like that. And so I'm going to try to answer that question. It is only my opinion. There's no real facts to back up what I'm saying. So take it for what it's worth. It's up to you whether you believe me or want to have your mind already made up and just want to just keep lamenting that we have a lot of bloodshed going on. And the real question is not why is there war, but why is the news focused on only certain wars? Like they're mainly focused on Vladimir Putin and the Russian army going into Ukraine. They have pretty much no interest in any other war going on, and there's plenty of wars going on, not only on a global matter, but also on a local matter. I mean, police versus crime is a war that hasn't ended since the beginning of mankind. You know what I'm saying? But as to why we don't have peace, the answer is pretty simple. Not everybody agrees upon things being a certain way. I mean, if you bring a Muslim and a Jew together, they're not going to see eye to eye, plain and simple. They're going to be at odds with each other. On a personal level, there might be a friendship that comes about, but on for the most part, they just don't see eye to eye. They'll argue with each other, or worse, and that's the problem. I mean, to have peace, everybody has to be in agreement on the same thing. To have to all be seeing things from the same perspective, to have a common law. And that sometimes means having to make adjustments because you're not lining up with that vision. And when you don't line up with that vision, then all that's going to happen is strife, sometimes a little animosity, sometimes a little bit of blood, and in extreme cases, somebody's life ends. They're put into the ground, or they're burned, depending on what culture you're in. So why would people not want to be in agreement with what's going on? Because part of it is that they're in pain, plain and simple. That the way things are does not benefit them at all. I mean, if I'm a slave, do I want to be a slave forever? Do I want to be like feeling somebody whipping me whenever I don't go with what they're doing? Do I want to feel pain because somebody doesn't like what I say? And so, for some people, and I think about the Irish back in the 1800s, they were putting up with a lot of garbage from uh, their neighbors over in Great Britain. And the British were not going to listen to anything that the Irish had to say about the matter. And so the Irish had only one alternative, and that was to resort to violence. And because they resorted to violence, they actually got a little progress made where they're at least able to govern themselves. Same with the United States. We were originally a colony of, among our countries, the Great Britain, and to a lesser degree, Spain, Mexico, a little bit of France. And what happened was that the British, King George III, made some laws that only benefited his own island, had no benefit for for what is now the United States, and the people here were getting tired of it, and the British were not going to listen to what they had to what the Americans had to say. So the Americans took up arms, went to war, got its independence some 240 years ago, give or take, 246 years ago. So if you want peace, what you're telling people is yield to this particular vision. And more than likely, it doesn't cost you anything other than a little discomfort. But the people you're telling to make peace, you're asking them to do something that will cost them. Sometimes it might be costing them a little bit of their ego. Sometimes it costs them a little bit of their money. Sometimes it costs them their freedom. And I don't know about you, but I kind of like my freedom. I kind of like to be able to say things that come to my head. Now, am I going to say whatever comes to my head? No, that would not be loving to whoever I'm talking about. But you know what I'm saying? It's like if you want peace, you got to make adjustments. And if you're not willing to make adjustments, then don't expect your opponent or the person that you're at odds with to make adjustments either. There are things like compromises, like how warm do we want the bedroom to be at night while we're sleeping? And you're like laughing about that, but seriously, I mean, if one person likes it cool because they sweat all the time, and the other person prefers it to be warm because they're freezing their butts off without a few blankets, then yeah, that's a big issue. And the answer is not necessarily making it cool for cool for the person that's cool and let the other person freeze. The answer is not make it warm so that the one person needs only maybe a blanket while the other person is sweating their body off and not able to sleep because they're sleeping in their sweat. You got to meet somewhere in the middle, and that means both sides got to make an adjustment. And you're asking people to make an adjustment that you may not be willing to make yourself. Oh, I don't have to adjust. It's not my thing. But you're complaining about a war going on because you don't want to see bloodshed. You don't even understand why it happened. All you're wanting is for the thing to end. But that doesn't solve the problem that caused the war in the first place. The problem that caused the war in the first place is that two or more parties just did not see eye to eye. They're not on the same page. They don't have the same vision. But you're asking them to have the same vision. You're asking them to just stop what they're doing as if they're going to listen to you. Quite honestly, they're not going to listen until an even stronger force comes in and intervenes and shows that if you don't get on the same page, you're going to wind up gone. And that's what I'm saying, is that in order for peace to resolve, a stronger force than the warring factions has to appear and to break up the matter. Because otherwise they'll just keep on going. So if Russia and the Ukraine want to continue it, I mean, nobody is trying to stop them. Some have even suggested let them duke it out and finish it and finish the matter until one side becomes victorious. But that's beside the point. The point is, if you want peace, then make the adjustments. Do whatever it takes to pursue peace. You don't have to have peace for the entire world. All you have to do is have peace within your own self. That's the easiest way to start. And if you have peace within your own self, protect it so that nobody disturbs it. Nobody breaks it. And that way you can remain at least content, if not happy, if not joyful, if not loving. But above all else, be yourself. That's how this world rolls. Just by being yourself. And before you focus on Russia and the Ukraine, think about all the other wars that are going on around the globe. And there's so many of them that I can't even count them on one hand. I can't even count them on 2 feet and 2 hands. Anyway, I just want you to know, if you want peace, pursue it within yourself first. Then we'll talk about pursuing it between each other, and then between countries. But until everybody gets on the same page and everybody has the same ideals, expect war to continue. Expect there to be more wars coming up, including some major things going on with nukes, nuclear arms, nuclear missiles. Anyway, this is S.W.I. I'll talk to you next video, whether it's on this channel, your channel, or a channel somewhere else on YouTube. Thanks.